Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Vice President Harris will make stops in 3 blue wall states today with former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney for what's being called a moderated conversation. The two will appear in Chester County, Pennsylvania, Oakland County, Michigan, and Waukesha County, Wisconsin. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says an apparent attempt on his life by a Hezbollah drone was a mistake. Officials say a drone launched from Lebanon targeted Netanyahu's house north of Tel Aviv on Saturday. According to Netanyahu's office, the prime minister and his wife were not in the building and there were no casualties. Millions of Americans are casting ballots with early voting underway in many states. As of Sunday morning, over 13 million voters have cast ballots either in person or by mail. And the stage is set for the World Series. The Dodgers took down the Mets 10-5 in Game 6 of the National League Championship Series from Los Angeles. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, All-State Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 3rd annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards, NOETA Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 2nd at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature Grammy-nominated Tank and the Bangers. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Guess who's back, y'all? I know y'all hear his voice over there. None other than Oliver O.T. Thomas. And you know me, I'm Dr. Ashanta White. And now I'm just behind the glass holding it down like he pulled a fast one this morning.
A-Dub and O.T.,
yeah,
man.
He come walk in and talk about something. You sit right there. See,
where
you going?
No. Well, let me say this. We co-host, right?
Yeah.
And, man, it's been such a, not just a professional, but spiritual path. And, man, I really missed you. I can say I missed your brain. I missed your heart. I missed your ability to talk about all these topics. And as you noticed, I listened. I called him a couple times.
Yes, you did.
So even though I was out there, man, I had so much to do. We're in budget hearings, so sometimes they started early.
Yeah.
I had my wife, Jasmine, had the retreat she had to go to last week.
Yeah.
So, while she's out of town, man, hey, that's my job. I pick up the slack.
Well, I definitely want to thank former Senator Wesley Bishop for holding it down for you in your absence, but we did miss you over here, though.
Yeah.
Look, I was
Vice versa.
I walked in here and I was like, I looked at Naira and I say, what I'm expecting it is. He come I'm like,
yeah, but what was I doing, right?
I was looking
you and I
you.
was still, I was sending you texts,
Yes, we were
copies
still
of texts of people saying I could listen to that lady all day. I was like, yeah, I listened to her all morning.
Yeah, listen, I'm excited. It's a happy Monday.
It really is.
Yeah,
right?
It's a good Monday.
I feel not just good about being here with you, but our ability to talk about the issues that matter and break them down for people, and that's what I really, really like.
Yeah.
I really love your brain.
Thank you.
And your flexibility, your growth, and it's a perfect balance with your heart, and that's good. I always tell folk that the best people God put on this earth are the ones who put themselves second. Because we're going to put them first.
Yeah.
And we put you first.
Well, I appreciate that. It's not often you get affirmed in this life. Sometimes people could throw the negatives left and right, but they seldom forget like all of the positivity that they could be talking about. But it's
and we do it, and we do it both. We do it all. There are issues that are contentious that we deal with the information. And then when it's positive, it's like the weather was positive.
Yes, it was. Listen, because I'm really working on this this whole thing. I'm very intentional about not coming across as the angry black woman. Even if my anger is righteous, I'm trying to grow in a way that I can still articulate myself and not be highly emotional about.
Well, I think your path.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, your steps are already ordered.
Yeah.
And your path is, in church yesterday morning, City Love, Pastor Fran preached. Zion opened up with James 1, and for about when you have endured. Once you've endured,
Yeah.
when God sees that you've endured, then you're molded into this blessed person that you don't. And then the message from Pastor Fran was Zechariah, not by power, not by might, right? And that manifestation is there. Your glory has always been there. And let me say this: you've had a right to be angry and frustrated.
I was hurt for a long time.
And I'll say this to you, and I tell this to a lot of young people that I mentor, especially young professionals like you, the ones that I know are worthy. Very few people will ever be you. They'll ever have your heart or your intellectual ability or your ability to understand. And we always joke that big brain is there for a reason. And what I've had to do, what you've had to do, and what others have to do is learn not to hold it against people because they're not where we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had to do a lot of and I'm still doing it. It's not like it's done. It's it's like healing is so like it's not linear. Like it's some days I feel like I'm growing in the right direction, and some days I feel like I have a setback.
Yeah.
But
And that's powerful.
I do believe, and I tell anybody that I'm anointed to do the work that God has anointed me to do. That's why there's no door that you could close on me. I'll just find another way because, that's just how I feel. God finds an end around for me.
But that's powerful to admit. And that brings us to the beauty of what we do here, guys. And we love each other in here, right?
Yeah.
And we've learned to, but we've also, we appreciate it, right? And just this conversation, Manifestation Monday.
Yeah, look at that. We inventing stuff. Where the bell at?
Manifestation Monday.
Yeah.
Period. Now, there's a whole lot going on out there. This This Souls to the Polls with Pastor Martin this weekend, where I picked up van loads of people and brought them. I wish it would have been more, but there was some.
We still have time. Early voting ends on October 29th. We still have time.
Yeah, we
to
still
get
have
them
time.
there. Yes.
Morgan Walking, Yesha did bike and ride.
Bike and vote.
Bike and vote. There was another large bike initiative out there, man. About must have had about 500 or 600, maybe no 300 bikes.
Yeah.
The LCMC had their health fair.
Yes, saw that.
That was really, really, really awesome. And Willow went on her first date.
Ooh. you didn't sound too enthused about that, Oliver. Not your loss for words.
That ain't never happened
Not
before.
your loss for words. So was it like that bad
She
boy
went to St.
scene?
She went to St. Hogs.
Was it like that bad boy scene when Martin and Will were at the door? And Martin's daughter was going on a date with the boy?
Let me say this. I talked all that trash, and my wife was just disappointed. She said, "You ain't nothing but a pushover now." Because with my first daughter, Leah, I called Leah. So Leah and I on the phone, I was like, "Leah, Willow going on her first date," and I sent her and my sister the pictures, and my sister was like, "I know you lied." When she saw the pictures, right? So this little girl looked like a young woman.
Yeah.
So my daughter said, "You act a fool with me. You come, chest up to the boy.
Y'all practicing with us because we first.
At the door and all that." Man, when I had met the young man before, and so Maurice Stewart, man, wonderful family. His dad's Maurice and Nicole. I didn't know he was their kid at first, because when he would see me out in the community, he'd be like, "Hey, Mr. Thomas, how's Willow?"
He was already laying.
Yeah,
he was already laying the groundwork on.
I had no idea. Now they're just friends, right? Yeah. So when he came to the door, I told him, but I was like, "Hey, man," he was so respectful. He just broke me down, so respectful. That can be deceiving with people, with men.
It can.
They could be nice in one way, and then when you get them on a
meeting
date,
their representative.
But then his parents brought him over, so that was a good thing. To do, and we went to the Maxwell concert, and I'm gonna admit it, y'all.
Maxwell and Jasmine Sullivan.
And Jasmine Sullivan, it was awesome. So we at the Maxwell concerts. So I'm still texting my oldest daughter, right? And we'll text back first date, right? So Leah's like, chill out, right? And I got like a little tear in my eye. And I'm listening to Jasmine Sullivan because I love her and Maxwell. And I'm thinking about, you know, Doc, what I was thinking about?
What was that?
That ain't, well, she's still my little girl, but she's different now.
Yeah. Listen, I often tell my
And
brother
I saw that.
he has an entirely different version of my mother. Coming
Yeah.
first is not easy because you get
Yeah.
all of the, all of the trial and error. And as
Yeah.
it goes down, you get she got the best version of you right now. Well, Ollie got the, it's done. You done. You're a marshmallow by that time.
Yeah. Ollie was, he was kind of numb to it, watching his boy come over, and we took pictures.
Yeah, that's his sister.
And he was kind of numb to it. So I'm giving him a couple of days curious to see how he felt. But we hurry up and got home. We Maxwell was still singing when we left the concert to go home to wait. And
So was it like that Cosby Show episode when you turn the couch toward the door and Claire
All of that.
and Heathcliff, they were sitting on the sofa watching. You remember when
everybody was posted watching the door.
She
Yeah,
went for big fun.
everybody was posted. No, Jasmine, and I watching the door. He walked to the door, opened up, walked her in.
Somebody raised him right.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, somebody raised him right. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
which leads me into talking about
Yes.
all of the rhetoric around homecomings, specifically around HBCUs and the attire of the young ladies. They've been talking about that all weekend, and how the young ladies are walking around with
I've been talking about it for a couple of years.
all of their
now.
private areas like
exposed.
exposed. And I don't know if this is like a new trend that's
hope
happening, but I believe that it is a direct correlation between the entertainment that's out there for them
No
and
doubt.
what they're consuming
No
all
doubt.
day, every day, whether it be social media or
That's right.
reality TV or whatever they're consuming. And these are the visuals that they're seeing, and this is what they're mimicking.
right.
Because I came up in a time where even if your mama wasn't in a position to correct you, if you had aunts or neighbors or anybody,
absolutely.
somebody was gonna yank you and be like, "This is not what it." I mean, your whole butt is hanging out, and I don't get it. And for me, the way I raised my son, none of that would be attractive to him.
No.
So that's not anybody he would
And
look
it's-
at in a way
And it's not in a
to come
serious
bring
way.
to me,
Correct.
in terms of meeting.
Correct.
And so we have to get back to a place where young girls feel dignity within themselves, so they don't have to like search for this value system by demeaning themselves in a way that it may attract the attention, but is that the attention that you actually want for yourself?
504-582-9422. Man, we probably don't have enough time because that's a powerful.
I'm just asking, you know what I mean? Because I just want to know. Like, I get
That's
being
a conversation to be
young
had.
and want to express yourself through your attire and how you dress. But at the same time, the attention that you believe that you're getting may not be the healthiest version of attention that you desire or you really want.
When
So-
our legendary intellectuals and social scientists, Amos Wilson and Neely Fuller Jr., talk about a code of conduct. At every point in your history, you have to look at your conduct in terms of your relationship
Yeah.
to life. Yes. And I think that's what they're talking about, the reevaluation right now. What we have to remember in Tom Burrell's book, and you and I have talked about it, Brainwash, before, there's a certain social conditioning that markets and targets certain groups,
Absolutely.
and one size doesn't fit all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely intentional.
So yes, families, raising yourself does have something to do with. But we all know the story of my cousin walking out the house with a full length dress and having another.
To change your clothes. Yeah. But here's the thing.
But that was respect, though.
And also too, we're also not going to pretend like those kinds of things didn't happen in every generation. But
Right.
you always did have the elder generation trying to say this isn't the way.
But they weren't going to flaunt in
govern
front of your
yourself,
face.
But they were not going to do it
In front of your face.
Like I don't understand why it's come to full exposure. It's not even like a little bit of
No,
something to have
no.
your imagination running.
No.
It's on full display.
Correct.
So the men don't or women don't even have
Correct.
to imagine or try to undress you with their eyes because you already undressed.
But the thing about it is, and you just 16.
Even younger. I talked to my son about this because he went to Southern's homecoming
Right.
this weekend, and I always tell him the way that you extend value to a young lady is to not try to be all you don't certain things you just don't do right out the gate. There's a
Right.
respect level that's there, but I could promise you certain things my son isn't even going to go for because that's just not the way that I raised him.
You know what's great?
He's not going to go for it.
And you know what's so blessed about this conversation is that I was, I'm engaged in a lot of men's groups, national groups, where we talk about, especially black men, life and where we are. And I was listening to, and there was a discussion about a report.
Yeah.
More and more young men are looking at it like your son now.
Yeah. Because we have to get back to that. There's somebody has to hold the line in terms of a standard.
Yes.
And if men start to say this
Yes.
is not what
Acceptable.
attracts me or
Yes.
this is not what I want,
That is absolutely
I promise you
correct.
there's a reciprocal relationship
Right.
between black men and black women.
Absolutely.
Just like if a woman doesn't accept that gangster mentality and that street running, those boys will do something different
Yeah,
because
absolutely
that is an appeal to me. I don't
That's
want
right.
your pants beneath your butt. Pick
That's
them up.
right. That's right.
And so I believe that if we hold each other to a certain standard, the other half of us will reciprocate. I'm just telling my son, I try to raise him in a way that reflects a value system. And simply because somebody's trying to give you something, and I ain't talking about candy, just doesn't mean you have to take it.
But isn't that what they promote? And I don't know I don't know if it's a good example, but Taylor Swift is the iconic figure for young white girls.
Yes.
Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion for black girls.
Yes. And there's a certain way that you're not going to see Taylor Swift appear on that stage. You're just not.
Not at all.
And
Her promoters, her advisors,
and
her agents
and it's very
won't let
obvious,
it happen.
but that's about not feeding me something that you wouldn't eat. But also realize that why are you eating something that they themselves won't eat?
Won't eat.
And so for me, we have to get back to a village mentality of holding each other accountable because systems can only do what we allow them to do to us. If that's not the music that we want playing in our homes, then we will push back against that rhetoric. If that's not the kind of TV that we want to consume in our homes,
Right.
then we'll push because it's not everywhere. It's demographics,
targeted.
it's statistics, it's being funneled. But before we go to our first break, I want to say congratulations to the New York Liberty. They won their first WNBA championship, and we have a
And
local
your home girl?
Yeah,
Our home
Algiers girl, Ranika Hodges is one of the coaches. So congratulations to the New York
Congratulations,
Liberty.
Ranika.
Congratulations to Coach Ranika Hodges. She's an Old Perry Walker graduate. Retired WNBA player. The girl was an all-star, all-American.
You know, New Orleans, we everywhere, man. Look, we got to go to break. I know we got a great lineup.
We
though,
surely
Doc.
do. Valerie Bocage, CEO of Powerful
Yeah.
Women International Connections, talking about the Worldwide Prayer Event. And at 7:50, we're going to talk to, 8 o'clock, we're going to talk to Sean Charles, Director, Office of Supplier Diversity, Department of Finance. It's a wonderful show we have lined up.
Yeah, man. And we always do. And wonderful conversation, guys. Go ahead, Doc, do your thing.
And listen, we're going to go to break, but stay with us. There's more conversation to be had, and you know what the number is, 504-582-9422 if you want to join in on the conversation. I'm Dr. Ashanta White. This is
I'm
WBOK
OT.
1230 AM.
Whose station?
Our
It's
station.
our station,
What
man.
New Orleans is talking about.
That's right. It's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m. and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Good morning and happy Monday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at what's making headlines today. New Orleans police just confirmed they are investigating a homicide that happened Sunday night. We're told officers responded to Iberville Street in Mid-City, where they found a decomposed body. Investigators say it was later determined around 1 a.m. that the victim was shot to death. No word yet on that man's identity or a possible suspect. Then in Baton Rouge, that controversial Ten Commandments law will be debated in court later today. A federal judge will hear arguments over whether a new law, which would require the biblical text to be displayed in all Louisiana classrooms, is constitutional or not. The measure was set to take effect at the start of the new year, but has been challenged by parents and other groups. Then early voting resumes today in Louisiana. You have until October 29th to cast your vote before Election Day. The polls are open from 8:30 to 6 daily. Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. And finally, are you ready for it? Taylor Swift's takeover is almost here. The pop star will perform this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday inside the Superdome in New Orleans. And there are a host of events in the lead up to her show. You can learn more about what's happening on the North and South Shore right now on WDSU.com. And that's today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
I'm Pastor David Impatan Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. I want to encourage you, inspire you, and challenge you to vote. Action speaks louder than words. If you enjoy your freedom, vote to keep it. You might lose it if you don't use it. Voting is a privilege and an honor. Make your ancestors proud. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, but voting is an act that you can enjoy. Many people have lived and died for you to have the privilege of voting. Vote as if your life depended on it.
For everything you need to know, go to GoVote.com. That's GEAUX Vote.com.
NOLA Public Schools is excited to be on this 2024-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fits-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Hello, WBOK listening audience. This is Pastor Robert Tanner of the Community Church of River Ridge, Louisiana, inviting you to tune in to our Sunday morning broadcast at 10 a.m. every Sunday morning right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. That's Community Church with Pastor Robert Tanner every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on WBOK 1230.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 a.m.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. We are
Yes,
back.
we are.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. How you feeling,
Man,
Oliver?
if I felt any better, I'd be you. and ain't too many people can feel that good, Doc.
Jasmine, now I see how you went and got down out with him. Ain't he a slick talker?
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it. Ain't no doubt about it. Hey, look, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
Or you get burned. And never had the ability to earn. My wheels, they churn.
I'm so excited to have him back. I don't know what to do. But listen, we have on the line with us right now is Valerie Bocage, CEO of Powerful Women International Connections.
No doubt.
The worldwide prayer event. We could always use a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
Especially we 15 days out from election?
We got some stuff to pray for.
Yeah, we got a lot to pray about. So let's talk to Miss Valerie about it. Good morning, Miss Bocage.
Good
How are you?
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great.
Man,
Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
First of all, thank you. We're doing wonderful, and as always, Dr. Wyatt. Who is Valerie Bocage and in this worldwide prayer event, man? We know it's needed, but talk about how we got to this point.
Oh, okay. I'm living in San Francisco since Hurricane Katrina, and we are working with Councilman Oliver Thomas and some other city leaders to revamp and revitalize the Lower Nine. And I asked Councilman Thomas to do a prayer. The man he is, he said yes. And I started sharing that with some of my team, people in San Francisco. They said, well, let's have San Francisco to pray. And pray for New Orleans, and then pray for San Francisco, and then it was North Carolina. And we need to pray for them because they just went through something, close to what we did. And then it was, I want to pray. I know the governor of Pennsylvania. Let's get him on board. And it just kept going and going. And we had a global reach, so everyone wanted to pray for New Orleans, and it turned out to be a worldwide prayer, which we really need, especially with, as you say, with this election. We need to pray for peace and harmony, and we really need to pray for our children. And I'm just so touched by who Councilman Oliver Thomas is. And he had, and I didn't know he had a gospel show. And when Cece told me that, I went, wow, I am really connected to God. So that's my story.
Well, we deal with the gospel according to everything here in the morning show. So Dr. Wyatt, my co-host, and I, Ms. Bocage, first of all, thank you for being a powerful woman of God. What inspired the creation of this particular event, and what do you guys hope to accomplish with it?
What inspired it is I've always wanted to do something in the Lower Nine because my grandparents was always helping. They were helping people to pay rent and mortgages, getting their kids out of jail, and they called my grandfather the godfather of the Lower Nine. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they were killed. And it touched my heart, and I wanted to continue their legacy. And my dad, who is the former
Eddie Bo, the musician.
Eddie Bo, yes.
World famous
he
Eddie
lived
Bo.
in the Lower Nine.
Yep.
And so and my grandparents built their own house together, right, from scratch. And I just have a heart. There's such a richness throughout New Orleans, but there's like diamonds and pearls in the Lower Nine that people don't see. And I want people to know that. the community, the love, knowing how to take care of each other's kids. That's what I grew up with, and that's what together we want to bring back.
So Ms. Bocage, can you tell
Yeah.
me? Can you tell me? Because I'm all things community, but how can local communities get involved in this initiative, and what specific actions are encouraged?
So one of the actions is we want the community involved. So we are. So first, we're doing the prayer physically gathering in the Lower Ninth Ward with Councilman Thomas, with the community on Tuesday, the 22nd at 6 o'clock by the Sanchez Community Center. And then on Wednesday evening at 5:30 at Martin Luther King High School, we are asking the community to come together in a community meeting so that we can know who's doing what and we can together create a vision, because it is about community. Earlier that day, we are at Martin Luther King High School. We are working with the students as well to bring leadership, to bring in people that's going to help raise them up and teach them. And so we'll be working with the kids at Martin Luther King High School. And I just believe in community, and together we can do it all.
So I mean, especially given the fact, because, my parents and relatives talking about Eddie Bo, you kind of downplay, but Eddie Bo was a famous musician, talented musician out of New Orleans, and everybody knew the name Eddie Bo. We would call one of my good friends, Ed Anderson, we would call him Eddie Bo, just as after an iconic figure here in the city. What did you have any for music? Why didn't you go into music? Because Eddie Bo was a mainstay here from New Orleans.
I didn't get his gift.
Okay.
He taught me a little. He taught me some things on the piano. The first thing he taught me was to play the famous little theme of Fat Domino.
Uh-huh.
That little famous. But I didn't get the gift of singing. I have grandkids that can sing, but it passed over me. I used to teach dance. I had the art, but mine went into my feet, not into my voice. So I taught dance in New Orleans for many years.
So how can people who are listening, right? How can they get involved and participate in this effort? Because talking about the power of prayer, nobody believes in that more than we do. How do other folks get involved with this movement?
They can come to the community meeting and hear more about it. They can begin to pray in their own homes and pray with their families, with their children, and especially now with this election going on, every day, pray for our leaders. Pray for the community. And my heart goes out to the kids. We also working with the sheriff office, with inmates. We have a meeting with them on tomorrow. And I think together with everyone's talents and gifts, we can make New Orleans an icon. And what I want to do is make the Lower Nine a model city, a model community for other communities and for other cities. Because we could bring all of that richness back, bring back that peace, bring what God wants us to do as opposed to what our flesh wants us to do. Bring back that love and care for each other. And that will make a difference. And I wanted to say too that during the last part of COVID, we got contacted by a program working with the United Nations to, as one of the few groups, to work with the 17 goals for the United Nations Sustainable Goals. So my team and I decided if the United Nations want us to help, help with those 17 goals, and that's with education. They asked us to choose 5 of those goals, and we chose 5 that we can put into the Lower 9. And so we're working to do that. And since the United Nations eyes are on us, I think that we can do it even better for other people to see. Because New Orleans is known, after Katrina, was really known worldwide. And why not one of the richest communities? And all the communities are great. But I just have a heart for the Lower 9.
Well, look, Ms. Bocage, talking about the Lower 9, we have a caller online too. Good morning, Reverend Calhoun. How are you?
Mad or 9?
Uh-huh.
Good morning to all. Val is being a little modest about what she's doing and what she's bringing to the Lower 9. But what I would ask is that we want ministers, we want people to come out to the Pete Sanchez Center tomorrow evening and be a participant in this prayer. We're going to stand on the outside of this building. We're going to gather to pray for our communities as a whole, not just Lower 9, but we're talking about praying worldwide. This prayer service is not just here in New Orleans. We're journeying in to pray across the world with everybody at one particular point at a point in time. Not only is Ms. Bocage bringing in the prayer, that spiritual component we need, but she's also reaching out to our children. She's already done some work here in the city with MLK's kids. So we're looking at bringing our community together. And that only way that not the only way, but the one way I think of coming together is in prayer. So that's what's happening tomorrow, Tuesday, at 5:45. We will be at Pete Sanchez. We're gonna be over at MLK High School auditorium Wednesday evening. So she has a real agenda here to help our community. And while I'm on the subject, we will be having bus rides from to the polls on the 26th on Saturday, leaving at 9 o'clock from 9 till 5 to make sure that the Lower 9 also can get our residents out to the polls. So, but yes, Ms. Bocage is doing some real work here in the Lower 9, and I do commend her on it and commend her for it. So,
thank you, Reverend Calhoun, as always. No doubt about it. So
asking also, if you don't live in the Lower 9, please, wherever you live in the city of New Orleans,
that's right,
outside of New Orleans, come to the prayer session. We're asking the police to come, the deputies, especially the pastors, the parents, the children, and let's all pray together. Where this prayer that went worldwide originated in the Lower 9.
Well, speaking of wanting everybody to come together, because we all know there's power in numbers, how do you see collective prayer influencing peace and harmony worldwide?
I see it as we are all praying, God hears. God say, when 2 or more are gathered, I'm there in the midst.
Yes.
So if there's thousands of people together, we don't know what's going to happen, that God will start transforming lives and making everything better, making the children better, bringing up the kids where they respect themselves and respect their parents and respect community. That's lacking in our world. We want peace and harmony. leaders that lead with God.
So what do you say to people, Miss Valerie, who talk about the separation of church and state? You know, they've thrown that around for decades when you talk about the community. What does that mean to you?
Separation of churches. So I'm not clear of your question, but what pops in my head is that churches have to be strong in God and God's ways and not move from that, not let other people in, not about pleasing people or money. It's about pleasing God. And God said, I give all things if you ask. But we have to be right with God, not about people. And the power of telling someone no, that is not dealing with God, is powerful.
Well, to OT's point, the separation of church and state is how they were able to take the church and the prayer out of our schools.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that there's an impact on the removal of prayer in our schools in correlation to what we're seeing in our youth in terms of crime or in terms of not being able to read, write, and do math on grade level? Do you believe that this idea to separate church and state, to take prayer out of schools, has had a negative impact on our children?
Better way to phrase the question.
Thank you, and for being clear, when we took prayer out of school, we let the devil in. And after that, there's so many shootings in school. Kids are afraid to go to school. It's not a safe place. So when you take God out, you let the devil in. And we need to bring prayer back to our schools. And I strongly stand on that.
Well, Ms.
Without
Bocage, I think
God,
y'all have an
there's
end, though.
nothing.
I think there's an end with bringing prayer back in because the governor,
our
he's
governor.
behind this idea of posting the 10
Yeah,
Commandments
it's being
in schools.
challenged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
So-
challenging it,
right.
but I think it's being challenged because it uplifts one religion
One
over
religion,
others,
others.
and there are a multitude of ethnicities
Correct.
and religious beliefs in our schools. But if you can hang the 10 Commandments, I'm sure there's a pathway to talk about
Absolutely.
prayer
Yeah.
in schools now, right?
No doubt about it.
Yes, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's an opening there, but I think as Oliver and I talked about way earlier when he asked me if you crown me queen or king of the school system, what would I do? And my answer to him was, we have to do what respects the humanity of all children, because when you're leading something and that something involves a multitude of ethnicities, a multitude of religions, you can't bolster one and
No,
and
not
and,
at all.
and shun the others.
At the expense of others.
You
No,
cannot
you
cannot do that. And so it might not be comfortable for other people to have to participate
That's
in
right.
other people's religious
right.
beliefs. But if you talk Christianity,
Right.
then you have to talk all the other religions as well. So there may be an in there to try to reintroduce our children to prayer in schools.
I think there is, and I think there's a way to do it fairly so
Yeah.
that all religions and all
Equitably.
cultures are
Mhm.
respected and honored.
Yeah.
Miss Val, we're gonna go to break, and can you come back with us and talk about ultimately what is the mission, and what do we want to see? But hold that thought. We've got Miss Valerie Bocage. She is the CEO and president of Powerful Women International Connections Worldwide Prayer Event. Not just praying for the Lord Nine in New Orleans, but a prayer for our world, Dr. White.
Yeah, we need it. I mean, look, it's early voting, y'all. Early voting ends October 29th. We need prayer like no other.
I pray that you vote.
Absolutely. Stay with us on the other side of the break. This is WBOK 1230 AM.
Hey, the station that we're always talking about.
All
Whose
day
station?
long. Our station.
Our station.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
We're in for a mostly sunny week with highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. This is right around the average. Expect us to stay comfortable as humidity is down. Overnight lows this week fall to the 50s and the 60s. We'll see a gradual warm-up with highs in the mid-80s by midweek. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Moments like hearing my cat purr good morning mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that is spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib. Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
New Orleans Burlesque is back. The Red Light District, located on the second floor of your New Orleans headquarters by Nice Guys, presents a captivating, international, award-winning burlesque experience that will leave you breathless. Indulge in the sounds of our Grammy Award-winning quartet and exceptional food pairings each and every Saturday. To purchase tickets, visit Eventbrite.com, and remember, what happens in the Red Light District stays in the Red Light District.
Keep up with NOLA Public Schools through education.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Keep up with NOLA Public Schools through Education Elevation, hosted by Superintendent Dr. Avis Williams. Education Elevation will highlight the achievements, innovations, and contributions of scholars, educators, schools, and the district. Tune in every fourth Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. for engaging conversations and updates as we strengthen connections and support the needs of our scholars. Mark your calendars for every fourth Wednesday at 11:30 a.m.
Sunday mornings are reserved for a good word on WBOK. This Sunday, be sure to catch Dr. Kevin Stevens Sr., the pastor of Christian Unity Church, for service and a powerful, full, inspiring word. Listen live every Sunday morning right here on WBOK.
Good morning. Wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 a.m.
We are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. We are in conversation with Valerie Bocage, CEO of Powerful Women International Connections. We're talking a worldwide prayer event that is going to take place Tuesday, October 27th at the Sanchez Community Center, 5:45 p.m. down there in the Lower Ninth Ward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Ms. Bocage, I was asking when you went to break, we all know what the power of prayer is. Usually, well, first of all, too often we pray because something negative is happening and all of a sudden we want spiritual intervention. Or we pray because we're praying for someone, to hopefully manifest something good in their life. But what do we want to accomplish with this? Because the prayer may be in New Orleans, but it's an international reach. So ultimately, we're successful with this prayer. What do we see happening?
I believe that we'll see changes in our community to be strengthened and go back to how God wants us to live. Mm-hmm. The United States was the strongest, and it was the strongest because we started off with prayer. It's written in, on the White House, all over. We stood on God. But then other, religions wanted to come in, well, we want our religion. And so when we started appeasing other people and bringing them in and moving away from God, we weakened ourselves as a nation. So we can't do anything without God. And we see the results of that there's more crime, there's more hate, there's things that's, everything, that stealing, all of that. And so if we come back to God,
Mm-hmm.
then we will begin to strengthen ourselves and stand on God's word as opposed to other religions. And if they want to come, fine. They do what they do. I'm not knocking other people, but I know that standing on God and God's word is the only faith that has the Holy Spirit, that has God in
You said
within.
something. You said something a couple of times, and you used to hear it a lot, and used to hear it in church all the time. Is that pray for leadership? Well,
yeah,
you don't hear that as much anymore. Talk about that, because that's the found. Even if you didn't agree with your leadership, there was this thing: pray for your leadership. Talk about why that's important and the motivation for that part of this movement.
Praying for leadership is covering them with God. That all of because the leaders go through a lot, and even mentally, with people coming up against them. But the covenant of God and prayer will keep them safe and help them to lead and help them to be about the people, as opposed to accepting, things that's not right, or people coming against them. They have to, God said He'll put a table before you and your enemies. And that's what we want to pray for, that the enemy is not coming against our leader, that they can lead with peace and they can hear God and know what to do for the people. And I told you before when we first talked some time ago, that my mom loved you. She said, this man will go out to the people. He's a real man. He's a real leader. He cares about the people. So she just admires you so much. Yeah,
well, your family is a staple in not just in the Lower 9 and 9th Ward, but in our community. And so we love your family, and not just your famous father, but the fact that Papa Bocage, who was the mayor of the 9th Ward, everybody remembers what your family did and what they gave. Messages of unity, right? What are some specific messages and prayers that we want to use to get everyone together?
We want everyone to come together because there's powers in numbers. Mm-hmm. The message is to come out and change lives, change your family. Mm-hmm. All the things that people are going through, let's come together with God and have answers for all the things that people are going through with their children, with themselves, with the community, with the leaders. And, let's go back to God. Let this day be the day of a turning point in everyone's lives, that we begin to see the ripple effect of what God can do.
But to Oliver's point, Ms. Bocage, when we talk about unifying people, and this is supposed to be like a worldwide day of prayer, how do you unite people who have different religions while also trying to pray to and exalt one God? How is that possible? How do you do that?
So what we do is we just say pray however you pray. And for those who know God and God's hands are up on, God's Spirit will be there. If those who don't know God, God will put His Spirit that they begin to know who He is and strengthen them. Strengthen your faith. So we're not knocking anyone. All we're asking is to pray and let God do the rest.
Wow, Ms. Valerie Bocage, CEO of Powerful Women International Connection. So tomorrow and Wednesday in the Lower 9. So what's going to happen after that, right? Because, we start with the prayer. We manifest this movement. we go, and I love the way you have it laid out, from personal motivation to community to leadership to everyone coming together in unity, right? And that's the steps it ought to take. You start with yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then you end there. So what's next after this week?
Oh, after this week, we're continuing to work with the kids. We're continuing the movement. We're gathering the community so we can collaborate and get the vision. This is just bringing God in to everything that we're doing. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Well, bringing God in, no doubt about it.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. How can people reach out to you and tell them again where to meet and when this week?
Yes, we are meeting at the Sanchez Center in the Lower Ninth Ward, 1616 Fex Domino. It's for 5:30. Where we're gonna start, and
tomorrow for 5:30, and how
tomorrow for 5:30. Yes.
And how can folk reach out to you? Website, email.
Yes, my phone. I still have my New Orleans number, and that is 504-376-4263.
Say it one more time. Radio.
504. 376-4263.
Thank you, Ms. Valerie. Well, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Look forward to continuing these efforts, Dr. White. No doubt about it, Ms. Valerie.
Absolutely. Worldwide prayer event.
Powerful Women
Tuesday,
International.
October 27th, Sanchez Community
No
Center.
doubt
Thank
about
you, Ms. Bocage. We appreciate you. Have a good morning.
You too. Bye-bye.
Wow. When we come back, Sean Charles, talking about supply diversity. Yeah, what is a DDE? And why?
Who qualifies?
Yeah, and who qualifies? Then how can we improve the numbers for Black folk economically?
Yeah, because there's more than one way to be a DBE, because last time they were here, they said it wasn't just predicated on race.
And we're losing ground economically. So we're going to
Absolutely.
find out from Sean Charles.
Stay right here with us. This is WBOK 1230 AM.
Yeah, his station y'all talking about.
All day long.
And whose station?
Our station.
You know it's your station, girl. Back.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says President Biden's exit from the race was not political. This week, Pelosi said her concerns about Biden's re-election bid were not about his campaign, but about him as a candidate. The U.S. is investigating the leak of 2 top-secret documents showing American intel recording possible Israeli plans for carrying out an attack on Iran. The documents were leaked on the social media app Telegram on Friday. A man who was scheduled for execution last Thursday will now be testifying before a Texas House committee today. Robert Roberson was convicted of killing his 2-year-old daughter in 2002. He was set to become the first person executed for a death resulting from shaken baby syndrome. And Moana 2 is expected to catch a big wave during its opening week. Deadline reports the sequel to the blockbuster animated film is projected to make more than $100 million during its Thanksgiving week opening. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Join New Schools for New Orleans, Allstate Sugar Bowl, and Entergy New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 3rd annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards, NOETA Gala. The gala will take place Saturday, November 2nd at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. This year's gala will feature Grammy-nominated Tank and the Bangers. Don't miss out on this intimate celebration supporting our New Orleans public school teachers. Tickets can be purchased on our website, newschoolsforneworleans.org.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
Hey, y'all. Let's talk about the elephant in the room that impacts every
American citizen. The Electoral College. You know, it's time we reconsider this outdated and questionably unfair system and consign it to the ash bin of history. Established by the Founding Fathers in the late 18th century, the Electoral College was created to keep the larger states from dominating the smaller ones. However, in modern-day America, it has become an undemocratic barrier to true representation because it undermines the one vote, one person principle of true democracy. Hence, every presidential election, the winner takes all approach used by most states means that millions of voters are effectively disregarded. In 2016, for example, Hillary Clinton won nearly 3 million more votes than Donald Trump, but lost the presidency due to the Electoral College's distribution of votes. Moreover, this discrepancy not only undermines the principle of one person, one vote, but also fosters disenfranchisement. The culprits in this disenfranchisement are the so-called swing states that ultimately decide the outcome of the election, which results in candidates shifting their campaign strategies, leading them to ignore the needs and concerns of the majority. Consequently, millions of voters are sidelined because they don't count in the electoral outcome. This prioritization of a few battleground states creates a skewed political landscape, diminishing the voices of the majority. Furthermore, the risk of faithless electors, those who break from their pledged alliances because of their personal biases, adds another layer of unpredictability to our elections, threatening the integrity of our democratic process. As we are faced with increasing polarization, it is crucial to ensure that our elections reflect the will of the majority of the people. Now, those who argue for maintaining the Electoral College insist that it protects the interests of smaller states, but in reality, it only serves to entrench power in a few key areas, undermining the very foundation of democracy. A national popular vote would encourage candidates to engage with voters across the entire country, fostering a more inclusive political discourse. To me, it's plain as the nose on your face. A true democracy demands we embrace a system that truly represents the collective will of all citizens. It's time to abolish the Electoral College and move towards a national popular vote, one that guarantees every voice is heard. One person, one vote, and every vote counts. Anything short of that is no damn democracy. This is Norman Robinson off the top.
Good morning. Wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. I am Dr. Ashanta White. And guess who back in the studio?
We ain't just back. We back, right?
OT is back. Listen, we were recently talking to Valerie Bokar, CEO of Powerful Women International Connections, talking about the worldwide prayer event.
Wow.
But in studio with us right now is Deshawn Charles, Director of Office Supplier Diversity, Department of Finance, and LeSabre Venture Certification Program Manager, talking all things DBE this morning. Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Yeah, and that's one of the things we pray for. We pray for more money, more opportunity. And Ms. Charles and Ms. Ventures are here to talk about that, right?
Yeah. So how you feeling this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
What about you? Listen, I'm good. Good. So the magic question, the $1 million question. Yeah. What are DBEs?
Tell us what a DBE is, right?
Well, before we jump right into that, let me just say this. So we both represent the Office of Supplier Diversity. And one of the programs that are administered through the Office of Supplier Diversity is our certification program, which Ms. LeSabre Ventures is going to tell you a little bit more about in just a moment. But we exist to serve underserved, underutilized, and disadvantaged businesses with gaining greater access to procurement opportunities and resources to build competitively viable and sustainable businesses in and for the city of New Orleans. All right, the Office of Supplier Diversity oversees the certification program. We oversee contract compliance. That's once DBEs get contracts with the city, we want to ensure that those contracts are on the up and up. So our compliance team manages that. We also do outreach training and capacity building for our local, small, and disadvantaged businesses. So now, on to your
So
big
now that's
question.
the company line.
I'm trying to.
What is a DBE?
She
There we
said,
go.
first of all, let me tell you
Right,
what
Let me do my job first. My boss is listening.
So what are DBEs?
Yeah, so in order to answer that question, I want to give you a little bit more information about the program in itself. So the program is titled the State and Local Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, or SLDBE for short, and that is administered through the City of New Orleans in partnership with the Water Board as well as the Aviation Board. And so that certification program acts as an anchor to the Equitable Business Opportunities Program that Sean mentioned. And in that program, it serves to assist in mitigating the effects of past and present social and economic disadvantages by increasing the utilization of services by the City of New Orleans. This program is race and gender neutral. And so with that, each applicant who wants to be a participant in the program does carry the burden of proof regarding their eligibility in the program.
So before we move forward, we have, first of all, thank you guys for being here. But when you talk about DBE, there's a reason why we have DBE programs. We talk about the Grossman and Richmond decision and Supreme Court's decision about set-asides. Talk about the history of DBEs, where they evolved from, because we used to have set-asides. And the court says now you can't set aside contracts for any particular group anymore. It has to be competitive. And it's not just African Americans who qualify as disadvantaged business enterprises.
Yeah, so with that, like I stated earlier, so our program is race and gender neutral. So what that means is that race and gender does not have a bearing in this program. It is up to each applicant to display their social and economic disadvantages. That can be a multitude of things. That could be lack of access to capital, lack of access to credit, isolation within a community. It's a multitude of factors, but just those two items do not have any particular bearings within this program.
And it's because the court said it. There was a time when, if you were in government, you could set aside contracts for a particular group. And of course, Middle America and Mainstream America challenged that thought, went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they struck down set-aside. So hence municipalities, and especially local municipalities that were led by African Americans when we started getting elected, had to start disadvantaged business programs.
Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, can you talk about the 4 overall factors that determine eligibility for a person seeking DBE access?
Yeah, sure. So a person or persons can qualify for the program if it has been determined that the firm's ability to compete in the business world has been restricted for reasons beyond the firm's control. And again, that can be access to capital, credit, isolation from the community. Eligibility is determined by 4 overall factors. So the first being ownership, who actually owns the business. The second is business size. So the firm, including its affiliates, has to be deemed a small business by SBA standards. Independence. So the firm shouldn't be tied to another firm in such a way that would compromise its independence and control. And then lastly, control. A disadvantaged owner or person who wants to seek certification in the program must have control over the firm to basically control and manage the firm.
So what is SBA's definition of small business?
So SBA has different standards. They can be based on business size. They can be based on gross receipts, like business income. So it's usually dependent on the industry.
Yeah, and so Ms. Charles, Ms. Vetcher just set the table for this webinar and why it's important and what we hope to accomplish, right?
Right. So this webinar is extremely important. One of the main reasons is that we are concerned whether or not small businesses are aware of our program and what we do for the citizens of New Orleans. And so we really need to get the word out, and we really want everyone to attend the webinar just to see if they're eligible. And I think they might be surprised in the results.
Yeah, and I thought about this post-COVID, right? And the fact that we'll have these programs, and though they're not race specific, they're race and gender neutral. There is an opportunity for local and small businesses to participate. But I'll never forget during COVID, Dr. Wybe, when we saw the SBA study that showed that 4 out of 5 African American businesses didn't even apply, right? So if you don't apply, then you're actually taking yourself out of the pool and an opportunity. Talk about why that's important, because I think it's brilliant what you're trying to do now is make the pool bigger. Look, they may have some challenges, they may have some biases, but unless you get in the game, you'll never know if you can catch the ball.
Right, and it's exactly what you're saying. They must apply to see if they're actually eligible to qualify. And then from there, I really believe the sky is the limit, because not only will you have opportunities to contract with the city of New Orleans, but many of our partner agencies recognize our certification as well.
So I'm trying to understand it in my brain. If it's gender and race neutral, right? The application part, because I think always in terms of education, right? That's what they tell us about the One App. It's supposed to not have any bearing on socioeconomic status, your zip code, all of those things. But we're watching our children be funneled to fail in schools, and that can't be by happenstance. So there has to be some sort of algorithm that is funneling them, right? So my question is, if people are applying and it's race and gender neutral, how does the process work of application to actually acceptance in terms of eligibility criteria? So what are the factors that you're checking if it's not? Because typically people think DBE, they think minority business, but how would you know if it's minority owned and operated if you can't see my gender or my race? Does that make sense?
Yes. So the social and economic disadvantage programs are across the country, right? So we are one of those. And with that, there's a lot that goes into identifying disadvantages. And within our application process, we have what's called a disadvantage owner's narrative form. And I always state the importance of how important that is for every applicant.
Ooh, that sounds like the application for college. When they
your
make
statement, yes, I know.
Your personal statement.
Right.
Yes, that's interesting.
It's something like that. And so we ask you to tell us your story. We need to know about you. We want to know more about you. The struggles you faced growing up, it could have been lack of access to better education. I mean, it's a multitude of things, right? So we look at that along with other financials and things of that nature. It's a really lengthy application process, but I will say it makes a difference in terms of developing and understanding those disadvantages that the person has faced.
Ms. Charles.
And so right on top of what LaSabre just said, she talked about the application process and the lengthiness, but that information we collect is very important in us determining the factors that go into your certification, your eligibility rather. So I do want to mention that we will be having a CertiFest in December, and the CertiFest, and I think we talked about that before.
I remember.
That's where we walk through our certification process with applicants. We go through it step by step. We have a notary on the premises to notarize any documents, but we'll come back in December or as we get closer to the CertiFest, and we'll talk more about that and tell listeners how they can attend that CertiFest.
So who can't be a DBE?
Well, so to answer that question, it would depend, right?
That's why I asked it.
We look at a lot of different things, right? And so essentially there are some things that will automatically disqualify you from being a DBE, one of that being your net worth. So if your net worth is exceeding $2.047 million, that's an automatic disqualification because you have to have a certain net worth in order to be a participant within this program, as well as gross receipts over time. So we look at a 3-year average of the business gross receipts, and if they're exceeding $33.72 million, then that's a disqualifier as well. But again, there's a lot of different things that go into it, and that's why I like to stress the importance of that narrative form, so that'll allow us to really understand more about the person.
But brand new businesses can apply to be a DBE, correct? So we have a caller on line 1 that want to ask you some important things pertaining to DBEs. Good morning and welcome to the Good Morning Show, Miss Alicia.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello, we can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, we can
Can
hear
you
you
hear me
now.
now?
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
now we
ma'am.
can hear you.
Okay, I'm calling. This is like part 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 of the DBEs. I would like for them to explain to me what is a CMAR, CMAR, because I've been doing a lot of research, especially since I've been evaluating and researching the Lincoln Beach project. And it just seems to me that we are still no matter how far we get in this world, there's so much that they come up with that keeps us out. And I want them to explain the CMAR, because the CMAR seems to ignore all the DBEs, all the programs and stuff, and all the paperwork that they're putting on paper for the design, but we still get left out when you have the CMAR initiative that's going. So I'd like for them to explain that and explain how that keeps us out still from contracting.
Well,
Thank you.
CMAR is a federal program. CMAR was started out of FEMA at the congressional level, and that's usually dealing with federal funds. And the definition of
federal
CMAR is
funds,
construction manager at risk program, but that usually does not apply to state and local.
It appears that every last one of our projects that's going on now is going under the initiative of the CMAR.
Then federal
And
funds
Lincoln
must be
Beach-
involved.
And Lincoln Beach but we also have city money in the Lincoln
Uh-huh.
Beach project. We also have city money in other projects as well that CMAR is taking over. And they're going to certain companies. And none of those companies look like us. And I think this is another level of keeping us out, keeping us poor, and keeping the black contractors from making a progress. So I'm done. Just explain that to us and why they're having more CMAR projects versus the DBEs, and like the collaborative and NOF have been complaining about that blacks still can't get to the table. And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Miss Alicia. I appreciate your commentary. So I don't know, OT, is that a commentary more aligned with your expertise in terms of like...
but usually, I mean, CMAR is federal. Now, if there's certain components where funds are mixed, then maybe it determines what's at risk in terms of the best direction for management of a program. That's usually done by the administration, not the legislative branch or the council branch at any level or Congress, but it's by whoever the administrator is of the project. So I guess we'd have to see if you commingle funds, is it necessary to use CMAR? But that's a question that needs to be asked to administrators, not legislators or program administrators.
And I think what I heard, the more important thing that I heard in her commentary is asking, why can't we have more opportunities for DBEs as opposed to the CMRs that seem to be saturating the market? But I think that's why you're important, because we're trying to encourage more people to apply, to get on the webinar, to get access to the DBE funding, because just as Oliver said, most minority-owned business, particularly black-owned business owners, they don't even apply. They don't even put themselves in the running to be able to receive the DBE access or funding. So maybe that's what...
Well, it has to do with compliance. I mean, if you're familiar with CMAR, it's important that each action remain compliant under federal procurement funds, or you could jeopardize the entire project. Now, one of the questions Ms. Alicia asked was, if you're commingling funds, does CMAR apply then if you're using it? Because the funds coming from, especially, she's using the Lincoln Beach project, but we know it's not just the Lincoln Beach project. There are billions or millions of other projects in this community where CMAR isn't in effect, but that's the example she's using. If you're commingling funds, like Lincoln Beach, where it's federal funds, state funds, and there's city funds, if the use of those funds means that you have to use CMAR for compliance with that portion of the funds, then that's something that an administrator or maybe one of the attorneys can determine. And I don't have that information right now, but we will try to get it.
Straight from the mouth of your councilman. He had to put his councilman hat on for a second. He had to step away from his hosting duties to talk council business. But listen, The Office of Supplier Diversity presents DBE's What They Are and Who Qualifies webinar. Learn about the City of New Orleans State and Local Disadvantaged Business Program, and it's happening October 22nd, 5 to 5:45. You can register. There's a link to register, website to register.
Yeah, so anyone interested in registering can shoot us an email at supplierdiversity@nola.gov, and we'll forward that link to you. It's happening via Zoom, so there's a registration link. Usually within the flyers that we provided, there's like a click here, RSVP. Yeah, there's a link available on the flyer. But if you don't have access to that flyer, you could definitely shoot us an email at supplierdiversity@nola.gov, and we'll forward the link to you.
Well, we want to thank Sean Charles, Director,
Absolutely.
Office of Supplier Diversity, Department of Finance, and LeSabre Ventures, Certification Program Manager, here to talk all things DBE. But like I said, there's a webinar coming up if you want to participate.
Be there or be square.
Listen, go to the website, supplierdiversity@nola.gov to register. It's happening October 22nd, 2024 at 5 to 5:45. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
And Ms. Charles
Thank you
has
for having
promised
us.
to come back to talk
She
about
always does.
how do we break that down and look at those categories. And we appreciate, guys, what y'all are doing, guys. But look, if you're not participating, if you're not challenging the system, then you're really not holding it accountable. So look, sign up, be part of the webinar. This is an opportunity at least to see where you fit,
Yeah.
And how you fit economically.
Because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That you don't take. Ain't no about it, doubt it.
Stay with us after the break. We're going to talk to Dr. Francis Wong, Behavior Analysis New Orleans Site-Based Supervision.
On WBOK
More after the
12:30
break.
a.m.
Absolutely.
The station who?
What New Orleans is talking about.
Who
That's
station?
your station.
You know
yours.
it's your station. Girl.
Welcome
we'll be back
back,
after
Oliver.
the break.
Hey, New Orleans, Tavis Smiley here, inviting you to join me each weekday evening at 7 p.m. right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. for the Tavis Smiley Show. You can expect great guests and getting the answers you need to know. It's the Tavis Smiley Show on our new home in New Orleans, WBOK 1230 a.m.
Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
Good morning and happy Monday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at what's making headlines today. New Orleans police just confirmed they are investigating a homicide that happened Sunday night. We're told officers responded to Iberville Street in Mid-City, where they found a decomposed body. Investigators say it was later determined around 1 a.m. that the victim was shot to death. No word yet on that man's identity or a possible suspect. Then in Baton Rouge, that controversial 10 Commandments law will be debated in court later today. A federal judge will hear arguments over whether a new law, which would require the biblical text to be displayed in all Louisiana classrooms, is constitutional or not. The measure was set to take effect at the start of the new year, but has been challenged by parents and other groups. Then early voting resumes today in Louisiana. You have until October 29th to cast your vote before Election Day. The polls are open from 8:30 to 6 daily. Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. And finally, are you ready for it? Taylor Swift's takeover is almost here. The pop star will perform this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday inside the Superdome in New Orleans. And there are a host of events in the lead up to her show. You can learn more about what's happening on the North and South Shore right now on WDSU.com. And that's today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day.
Hi, this is Eddie Francis, contributor to WBOK, and there's this adage: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. When I vote, it's not about me, it's about me doing my part for us, the community. So I vote because doing something for the future, for the community right now is better than tapping out for myself. November 5th, I'll be present and accounted for. Let's go vote.
For everything you need to know, go to GoVote.com. That's GEAUX Vote.com.
NOLA Public Schools is excited to be on this 2024-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month,
a service of the community scientist and Rise St. James. This month, we're focusing on lead, a heavy metal that's dense, soft, and poses serious health risks. In Cancer Alley, lead exposure from industrial emissions or contaminated soil can significantly increase cancer risks and other health problems. Stay informed and protect your health. For more information, visit risestjames.org.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon to What's Growing New Orleans, hosted by Angel Vanderpool. What's Growing New Orleans is a weekly conversation about developing and growing Black businesses throughout the region. Brought to you by the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
Welcome back. And we are absolutely back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Monday. We want to thank Sean Charles, Director of Office of Supply Diversity, Department of Finance, and LeSabre Ventures Certification Program Manager. Talk all things DBE. But right now in studio, we have Dr. Frances Wong. She is the Assistant Behavior Analysis New Orleans Site-Based Supervisor.
And Dr. Wyatt.
Yeah.
I done seen letters behind name, but I ain't never seen 26 letters. Right?
Dr. Wong went to school for every
from
certification,
A to Z,
every degree. I say
we can ask her. So, Dr. Wong, how'd the universe start? Right?
Is there life on other planets?
Yeah. So, Dr. Wang
welcome
in the
to
studio.
the Good Morning Show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Absolutely. So you're here to talk to us about the Applied Behavior Analysis, ABA therapy, but we always do check-ins with our guests, and we just want to know
how's you doing?
Yeah, how your Monday going? How was your weekend?
How's your behavior
my weekend
therapy?
was great. I actually got my flu vaccine yesterday,
All
so
right.
I'm feeling it a little bit, but I'm glad I got that out of the way.
Yeah.
And my Monday morning's going great. I went to walk the dogs this morning, so it's going good.
That's good.
Well, listen. So we're going to talk about the Applied Behavior Analysis, which is called ABA therapy for short, and how progress tracking and regular data analysis ensure that treatment plans evolve with the child. This is my wheelhouse. I love all things academia. I am special education certified.
Hold on.
This is my wheelhouse.
Doc, before you and Dr. Wayne go run down y'all road, because you know what she talking about, and she know what she talking about.
But we gonna help you.
I want to. Okay.
We gonna help you. That's what I was gonna tell him. I was gonna. My next thing was gonna be, but tell OT
Don't
and
run
our
past
WBOK listening audience, what is
thank you.
ABA therapy?
Thank you. Now I can hop on board.
I got you.
All right.
So actually, I used to be a special ed teacher too, so I love that.
Give her a bell. Come on.
And that's how I got into applied behavior analysis.
Okay.
And applied behavior analysis, or ABA, is an evidence-based behavioral teaching strategy that focuses on teaching students and learners to improve their social skills, communication skills, language, adaptive, daily living, and learning skills. And it's a very flexible therapy because we continuously collect data and make informed decisions.
So what do you mean by flexible therapy?
We make decisions in situ in real time based on the learner's progress. We don't wait to see if there are changes.
So there's progress monitoring going on, Oliver.
Okay.
And they adjust
Translate.
as the
Come on,
progress
translate.
is being made, which is what
Right.
all
Should
students
do.
should have in classes, right? So when you make behavioral goals with
Right.
kids who have IEPs,
Right.
they're supposed to be continually tracking their progress so you can adjust the objectives and goals
I love when I
as
have a
necessary.
translator in the studio. Yeah, I'm keep going.
And ABA therapy is really dope, and I call it dope because I have a nephew. He is on the spectrum with autism, and he initially started out as being nonverbal. And his mother, he has a heck of a mother. She was able to find him a school that caters specifically to his type of learning style,
Wow.
and now he's saying not just words but full sentences.
Wow, yeah.
So even though he's not where we ultimately want him to be just yet, he's made more progress than anybody ever thought he would do, simply because they weren't equipped to be able to reach him. But he goes to a specific school that has specific educators who are working on his specific needs. And I think all children should have access to that sort of individualized learning access, right?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And it makes a huge difference, especially how early they start, too.
Yeah.
The earlier they start, the better progress we'll see. And it is very imperative that all these therapies and treatment is highly individualized.
So give Oliver and our listening audience like a specific scenario, like in terms of how do I visualize what ABA therapy looks like if I don't know anything about it? What does it look like? If I were to happen upon you working with a client, what does that look like?
So ABA therapy, when people hear the word therapy, they often think of a clinic or
Yes.
a center-based environment. But however, at Touchstone ABA, we provide services in schools, like you mentioned, and in homes with parents. We work very closely with the parents, and of course at one of our 6 centers as well. So we have behavior technicians who are trained under supervision of a board-certified behavior analyst to deliver treatment. And these treatment is based on thorough assessment, which is conducted by the board-certified behavior analyst or a BCBA, and they design the treatment based on the student's needs, the learner's needs, across multiple domains, like I mentioned, social skills, communication, adaptive behavior skills, and all that.
Even mobility skills, correct? Like with their fine motor skills, or
fine motor skills.
So Dr. Wyatt's personal journey with her nephew, as well as she's trained in terms of being a leader, doctor in education, leading education. My personal experience with my sister, who went to St. Michael Special School. What was your personal journey? I mean, what was it that got you actually to this particular field, because you could have gone somewhere else?
So like I mentioned earlier, I was a special education teacher. I actually taught in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And one day, someone who said, "Oh, I'm an ABA therapist," walks into my classroom to push in services. And something that I've been trying to teach this child since September till January, she taught him in 3 sessions.
Yeah.
So I was just appalled, and I told my principal.
She was appalled. She was
You
like,
thought something was wrong with
like,
you?
yeah.
Or the sister?
Right? Yeah, I was like, I was young, and I said, I need to save the world. I need to teach these children. So I went to my principal and said, I need 2 years off. I'm gonna be back. I'll be back after I learn this thing called ABA, and I'm gonna come back and teach again. I never went back, because clearly I'm not in Brooklyn. I'm here.
Right.
But that's how I first learned about ABA and fell in love with it.
See, these are the kind of people you wish you could
clone,
because she cared enough. Because here's the thing, she recognized that it wasn't the child's inability to grasp something. It was the limited scope that she had in terms of her expertise, and she wanted to go and sharpen her academic knives. I love that for you. I love that for the kids too.
Dr. Wyatt had mentioned individual education plans, IEPs. So how is that different from an individualized behavior plan? Because I would think as a layman, you guys, this is what y'all do. I would think it would be one and the same, and you're saying they're not. You need different ones?
So individualized education plan is designed under the school system. And what we do at Touchstone ABA is we provide medically necessary treatment, which means we are addressing goals that are directly related to their daily livings and prerequisite skills that they need to be able to be integrated into the classrooms and thrive under those conditions.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Wong. How, at Touchstone, do you guys try to work with the schools to show them the importance of the teachers being able to understand? Because I think teachers should have some level of ABA therapy training, especially if you're working in the special education services or exceptional student services. Like, just like they do trainings to get teachers ready for the school year, if that is your area, I think you should have some, even if it's a surface level understanding of what ABA therapy is. I think all special educators should have some form of that. Even the general education teachers who have push-ins, who have inclusion classes where these children are housed. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree with you. And Touchstone actually has a school consult department where we go and provide professional development opportunities to teachers across Orleans Parish and Jefferson Parish and different charter schools. So you can certainly reach out to us for any professional development opportunities for your teachers.
So, Oliver, he gonna sit here and act like we just having this conversation and we leaving him out. But I want you to help Oliver understand when we talk about this goal planning for kids who have access to ABA therapy. Let's talk about SMART goals. Like, what does that look like for a child that's in your care in terms of his ABA therapy?
So SMART goals, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. And these goals are designed specific to meet the needs of each child.
Okay.
Can I give an example?
Yes, we like examples.
No, you guys are helping me understand this. So it's individually.
It's very individualized. And we've prioritize the goals based on immediate outcomes, immediate changes, and we also look at the big picture of the long-term outcomes. Where are we going with this goal?
Right.
So an example could be one of the learners that I worked with in the past. She came in because she was hitting a lot. And we did a thorough assessment, which told us that she was hitting because she wanted to tell us she wanted something. It was her method of communication. But we did not know that until we did an assessment with her that told us the why of her behavior. And once we learned that why of the behavior, we said, oh, she's trying to communicate with us through this hitting behavior. We need to teach her the appropriate
replacement.
Yes. And so that gave us the long-term picture. The long-term picture is we want her to learn to communicate effectively. And where we started was we gave her a little picture board to touch different objects and different activities that she may like on the picture, which is much easier than teaching her how to say the words out loud to start off with. So that was a short-term goal. And once she learned to, say, touch popcorn, and we gave her popcorn, she learned to communicate in that way. So at that point, she no longer needed to hit because all she had to do, she learned that she touched the picture, and then she gets what she wanted, and that was her communication method. And after she mastered that, we went on to teaching her to touch the picture while saying popcorn. So she learned to name the things that are on the picture board for her. Wow. And eventually we faded the pictures out. The pictures were no longer needed, and she was able to say, popcorn, please, or can I have popcorn? And that was an overnight
Is that
journey.
part of the data-driven approach, or is
Absolutely.
Yes. And the reason why the goal is a SMART goal is because, first of all, it was attainable for her. It wasn't something so lofty that she would fail first and then she would be discouraged in terms of continuing how to figure out the replacement behavior. So it was something it was specific because it was pictures. She got to touch. It was measurable because I'm sure you kept data on how many times she was able to. So that's why it's a SMART goal.
Well,
right?
this is good for me, and thank y'all for, as a layman, I know a lot of stuff, right? But I don't know this, right? Y'all do. And I've come up with a conclusion, and listening to you guys break this down in terms of how effective it is and how it can work, and use examples. So it makes me think, Dr. White and Dr. Wang, is that so they're leaping over steps to get the leap. So they're concerned that many kids are not ready for the LEAP test. Well, the way you guys have explained this program, y'all are taking steps so to that at every part of the way,
Yes.
kids are getting it so they can get to the next step.
Which is why I said the way that ABA therapists and ABA educators, because they really are educators as well,
Right.
not just therapists, the way that they do the work and the science behind it can work in any population of children. It doesn't just have to be
Yeah.
kids who have exceptionalities.
That-
because
and that's the
as
point I'm trying to make.
as having a SMART goal, you can have a SMART goal for every child in your school.
So, Dr. So
Mm-hmm.
why isn't it just a standard approach
Yeah.
to education? Because,
Well, it's a standard
Great
approach to-
question.
it's a standard- Go ahead, Doc. I'm sorry.
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, go ahead, because I was about to run. Go ahead.
I know special education teachers, that's what we
especially in
strive for.
disparaged communities.
Yes.
Yes, very good point.
Yes.
It's unfortunate that these students don't get the opportunities that they need, especially in the communities that need the most support in terms of education for their future in their community. What I think we can do as clinicians and as experts, I think we need to put it out there. Educate them that this exists and share little strategies that we can implement in the
I'm
classrooms.
coming in here playing with my heartstrings this morning.
Yeah.
Because it's really not rocket science. When you actually, the reason why I.
If you can get
It's
me to understand it, y'all
because
did
it's
y'all
also
did that
because
in less than an hour.
You're sitting in a classroom and you realize that there's a disconnect between what you're giving and what the child is receiving, and you cared enough to be able to pay attention to. Oh, it's not the kid. It's I needed to strengthen my ability to understand why he's having this struggle with getting what I'm giving. In our school systems right now, when kids struggle like that, most of the time the onus is on the child.
Right.
And the people in charge of education believe that this is the way to do it. I'm doing it this way. And if you don't get it the way I'm giving it, then something clearly is off with you. And then that's how a lot of children ends up on behavior tracks, because it's like, now you're writing him up because he's not paying attention, or you're writing him up because he's not on target. But the reality is the way you're giving it is not the way that I receive
But
it.
that brings
you
us-
noticed
yeah.
that, right? And you figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not hard, Oliver. You have to care enough.
But see, y'all educate me. But that brings us to the chart, right? Where Dr. White is going, collaborative care. So you've assessed the individual, right? It's still, my mind is messed up now. Why this should be standard operating procedure in education, but how do you weave in the family, right, to help lend to get to that educational? I don't even know if it's stability because you continue to grow. How do you engage families in that team approach that are part of this process?
So at Touchstone, we have a really heavy emphasis on working with the families, because eventually
the baby gotta go home.
They're with families. And I always say the first thing I do when I do assessments is I meet with the families first. And I always say, you are the expert of this child. Yeah,
And
first.
shouldn't that also be a standard operating procedure in general education?
That's why I'm jumping in. I'm listening to y'all say things that should
Come
be,
on, Doc, break
that
it
make
down.
sense.
Break it down for the listeners.
And
Yes.
we collaborate with them. We hear them out. We listen to their goals, their concerns, and their insight on designing the assessments and designing the treatment for these children. And where we come in later on is we provide education and support for these families so that whatever successful strategies that worked in the clinic or in the center or at school can be transferred over to home through parent education and collaboration.
Well, we have to take a
good
break,
stuff.
but on
Yeah.
the other side of the break, we're going to continue talking to Dr. Frances Wong. She is the Assistant Behavior Analysis New Orleans Site-Based Supervisor. We're talking all things applied behavior analysis therapy, and OT is getting
I'm getting
an
education.
education
I really
this
am.
morning. I'm hoping that the listeners, the WBOK
I
listening
really am.
audience, and any school leaders who are listening takes into account that it's not rocket science.
Thank you, Dr. Mom. We're going to
You
come
just
back
have
after
to
the
care.
break, right? WBOK 12:30 a.m.
When New Orleans is
talking
talking
about whose station?
Our
It's
station.
our station, man.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
We're in for a mostly sunny week with highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. This is right around the average. Expect us to stay comfortable as humidity is down. Overnight lows this week fall to the 50s and the 60s. We'll see a gradual warm-up with highs in the mid-80s by midweek. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Find us online. Did you know that you can now listen to your favorite show whenever you want? How? Just go to www.wbok1230.com. Click on the Talk tab and select your favorite show. There you'll see your favorite host and the show from each day. And be sure to follow us on Facebook at WBOK1230AM, Instagram at WBOK.1230, and TikTok at WBOK1230AM.
September is National Recovery Month and time to celebrate the millions of Americans in recovery. Metropolitan Human Services District wants to remind you that treatment is effective and everyone can recover. If you are looking for a recovery program and you live in the Orleans, St. Bernard, or Plaquemines Parish, visit mhsdla.org or call 504-568-3130. Recovery is possible, and MHSD is here to help. Metropolitan Human Services District, where we change lives.
Hi, it's Dr. Shepard with Honeydew Products, here with your Medical Minute. In today's Medical Minute, we will discuss a problematic persistent bioaccumulant, decamethylcyclopentasiloxane, or D5-siloxane. D5 is often used in the first or second ingredient in off-the-shelf daily hair care products used to perform typical hair routines. It makes hair easier to brush and prevents breakage. It's also used in deodorants, antiperspirants, and skincare products, and was used in dry cleaning fluid. D5 leads to adverse effects on the respiratory tract, liver, and nervous system of laboratory animals, and has also been connected to uterine tumors and may increase problems in the female reproductive system, as well as increase female reproductive diseases. Banned in Europe, the European Chemical Agency has called it a very persistent bioaccumulant. Applying heat to these chemicals with curling irons and straighteners releases them further into the air, increasing chemical emissions from 50% to 310%. They are then transported through homes' ventilation systems and in the atmosphere, circulating them through your home, the environment, and our neighborhoods, especially during morning hair care routines. For the health of you, your household, and your communities, choose hair products without D5-siloxane. If you are interested in knowing more about natural and real ingredient hair care products, give me a call, 504-858-4696.
This has been your Medical Minute with Honeydew Products on WBOK.
Hello, this is State Senator Joe Bowie. On November 5th, we have a historic school board election in our District 2, and I am seeking your support for Dr. Eric Doc Jones. Dr. Jones is a native New Orleanian and the only educator in the District 2 race. He is committed to our children and has the courage to ensure our children and community have a quality public education system. Please join me and vote Dr. Eric Doc Jones, Orleans Parish School Board, District 2. He's number 12 on the ballot.
This is Eric Doc Jones, and I approve this message.
Hey, everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Listen, we have a call on line 1. We're going to take the call. We're here talking to Dr. Frances Wong. She's the Assistant Behavior Analysis New Orleans Site-Based Supervisor, talking about applied behavior analysis therapy and how progress tracking and regular data analysis ensure that treatment plans evolve with the child. We have a caller on line 1. Good morning, James, and welcome to the Good Morning Show. Are you there? He's we might have lost James. Maybe he'll call back. Mm-hmm. But as we were talking, and Oliver is learning, Oliver is very, 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 very smart. But so when new things come and he's intrigued by them, he wants to better understand them. So we're going to talk more about how important it is to foster this partnership between home and school in terms of the success of ABA therapy. You want to touch up on that a little bit?
Sure. Like I mentioned earlier, parent collaboration is really key, and especially it's key in generalization. A skill that they learn at a clinic or a center or even at school. If they learn how to do addition at school, that doesn't mean they can do it at anywhere without any support. I think when I was a teacher, I got a lot of responses during parent-teacher conferences. What? My kid never does that at home. What are you talking about? My kid does that at school? And that is part of what we were talking about, generalization.
Yes.
So it is it's when someone's able to use a skill learned in a specific place and apply that to different people, different settings, and different times. And parent collaboration comes in, for example, if we taught a learner to brush his teeth at the clinic, at the center, and we want him to be able to brush his teeth at home, obviously. That's when parent collaboration and support comes in, so that the parents can learn to implement these tactics at home and teach the child to be able to brush his teeth at home with parents, grandparents with their grandparents, and of course at center with the therapist.
Which segues into the next question about coordinating collaboration with teachers and healthcare providers to ensure a comprehensive, cohesive approach to a child's care.
Yes. So we believe that open communication and especially sharing the data we have, because ABA is all about collecting data on every single behavior and response that the learner shows us. So we believe that open communication will allow us to provide more consistency across different environments, and especially talking with other healthcare providers and other therapists, we can coordinate our goals. What are you working on? Oh, okay. That's the skill you're working on. We're going to build on that. And when we coordinate care with healthcare providers, all right, what kind of medication is he on? And we provide the behavior data to show, okay, when you guys change the medication, this is what we have. This is the behavior we saw when we see him every day, and share that information so that we can all collaborate to adjust the plans to individualize and meet the needs of these children and their progress.
So if we have listeners who are interested in reaching out to you because they have a child who they believe after hearing from you can benefit from your services, is that something that they can do? They can reach out to you directly. How can they do that?
Yes, absolutely. You can visit touchstoneaba.com for more information on ABA and receiving services and other individualized behavior plans that we can provide.
So it's touchstoneaba.com. Touchstoneaba.com. So can you talk to us a little bit about in what ways does Touchstone ABA empower families and children to apply behavior strategies in their everyday environments?
Everyday environment is very important because that's where we eventually want all the skills they learn at centers or at school to be able to be applied. So this goes all the way back to parent collaboration, family collaboration again. We collaborate with the families so that they can implement all these strategies with the children at home. And eventually our goal is for them to be successful members in the community. And that's why we're all here supporting these children and providing them individualized care. So working with the parents, working with other professionals, working with the teachers, and all that collaborative approach will lead to a comprehensive, individualized care.
And so speaking of that, how do you see your work impacting not just individual families, but also the broader community?
So Touchstone plans on reaching its impact through ongoing research. We are constantly conducting research and, again, collaborating with the community, providing professional development and family collaboration.
So look, I think we got James back on the line. He definitely has a comment or a question for you. Good morning, James. How are you?
Good morning,
Welcome
Mr.
to the Good
James.
Morning Show.
Good morning and welcome back to the Ghost.
Hey, thank you.
So I want to say, Dr. Wyatt.
Yes.
It is rocket science. It's rocket science for family members who are, I raised two boys. They're grown and they're not gone yet because that's by our choice. I want to help them as much as I can. But they're, by today's standards, they're normal boys. I have a nephew, and I feel like such a failure because those things that I've implemented with my children, the 1, 2, 3 rule, don't touch that, and I tell you don't touch that 3 times and pop them fingers, I cannot do that to him because I understand his shortcomings.
Real talk.
Understanding his shortcomings, though, is the biggest hurdle is family because we can't on the same page and agree on what is best for the child. This child taught himself how to swim. Yeah. This child is a daredevil by most, kids' standards, and he does these things on him. He can maneuver himself and contort his body. He has excellent control. He had OT if he was as a person, then he would be an athlete, a hell of an athlete.
Right.
But we can't get on the same page as to the level of his strength. He's not in school at the moment, and it's difficult for these kids to find placement. It's difficult for these kids to find a sense of normalcy and unity amongst.
Right. We are a minute out. I would love Dr. Wang to address that scenario.
Please touch on
yeah,
because I'm lost and I've been lost.
No, thank you, Mr. James.
Thank you.
Perfect example. Dr. Wang?
Yes. Example of?
So let me clarify for him. When I say it's not rocket science, Oliver, I'm talking about for the professionals.
Right.
Those of us who work in schools, who know what good schools look like, who know how to reach children. When you care enough to go and get whatever service that the child needs, that's what I mean by it's not rocket science.
But Mr. James' frustration was that he couldn't do for a family member because of their family situation what he did for. How many of us share that frustration? And what do you do in that on the way out, right? What do you do in that scenario, right, to try to help that loved one, that a family member, or that kid?
I think this also goes back to educating the community.
Yeah. And also reminding them that they are not failures because every child is different.
Right.
And what you do for one may not work for the other one. That's why you seek out a Touchstone ABA therapist or a doctor of education to be able to help teach you those skills and those things to reach those children. You're not a failure, James, just simply because what you've done for other children worked and it's not working for that child. That's why it's individualized.
Don't think you're a failure, James.
You are not a failure.
There's no one size fits all.
Absolutely.
Right. So how can people reach out to you to call to learn more about this? And how do we follow you?
Yes. You guys can visit us at touchstoneaba.com.
touchstoneaba.com. So we want to thank Dr.
You promise
Francis.
to come back?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This was,
you have to come back.
I was nervous, but
don't
this
be
was a
nervous.
pleasure.
This is family right here.
Yeah.
Dr. Frances Wong, she is the Assistant Behavior Analysis Supervisor at the New Orleans site-based ABA Therapy Center. So listen, this was a good conversation.
To be
she has to
continued.
come back because there's so many parents with those same kind of struggles that James is having, and we want to be able to give them the answers.
Well, good to be back. Thank you guys, man. Great show again
Welcome
this
back.
morning. No doubt about it, Doc. Take us home.
Well, listen, thank y'all for listening in today. I'm Dr. Ashanta White, and
OT.
Oliver is back. I invite y'all to the front porch. Coming up next with Graylin and Kimber. This is WBOK 1230 AM.
The station y'all listen to.
All day long.
And whose station?
Our station.
Yeah, you know it's your station.